Hello again, I am Blunty, and when Ausley sent me some of their accessories to review, the first accessories for the Nintendo Switch Lite, including the cases here and screen protectors and stuff, they also sent me a 3D printed version of the Nintendo Switch Lite so I could more properly demonstrate how the Nintendo Switch Lite would fit in their accessories, which I thought was a very cool thing to do. And it also gives me the opportunity to make this video, which is a bit of a size comparison that people actually asked for when I suggested, well, maybe I should do a comparison between these two, and they said, well, why don't you compare everything else as well? So here we are. Later in the video, I'll do a pocketable comparison as well. I'll ask you not to judge me on the shape and smooshiness of my bum. It's not my best quality, but you're going to see my bum later on because I'm going to be shoving these things in the back pocket of a pair of jeans. But I'm going to start off with this. I have big hands. They're not huge hands, but they're pretty big hands. They're big manly man hands. And just for the sake of comparison, to give you an idea of scale here, from the bottom of my palm to my, what did you call that bit? First knuckle, I guess. That's the sort of spacing we're looking at here, and I find this quite comfortable to use in handheld mode and with detached mode and everything, so the spacing is working pretty good for me. I'm actually not a bigger fan of these thumb pads as I was on the ill-fated but nicely built thumbsticks on the WiiU here. I like these. They stand a little bit prouder. They're a little bit sort of deeper and wider. They've got more movement, and I really like how these feel as far as thumbsticks go, but they wanted these low profile, so they fit into cases and stuff a little bit easier, I suppose. But yeah, and I figured the spacing on this would be a little too cramped for me, but it actually turns out, and I can demonstrate this by picking both up at the same time, the spacing between the thumbstick and the buttons, at least the main action buttons, and even the plus button there, is basically exactly the same. And there's even a bit more room between the home button and the thumbstick. So the main difference is this just has a bigger sort of chin on it, a bit more room up there, which is actually a bit of clever design. Same thing is true on the other side as well. And of course we've got the D-pad, because these don't detach from the Switch Lite. There's no need to compromise on the D-pad, making it 4 separate buttons, because when you detach this, it turns into a controller for 2-player modes and things like that. You don't need that on this because it doesn't attach in the first place. So you can have a proper D-pad back. Hooray! But yeah, so it turns out the feel of these button spacings, it's basically identical. These feel about the same as well, so we'll do the comparison there. They're a little bit shallower because, again, it's designed to be smaller and more portable, but because these are not analog things in the first place, you don't need a lot of depth to them because they only click. You don't need the extra leverage for a more fine-tuned analog control, so I don't mind those. They fit under the finger quite well. A little bit narrower than my finger, so I don't know where that edge is going to bother me. Feels fine though. So yeah, if you do have big manly man hands like me and you're worried about the spacing of these things, it actually fits in the hands really quite nicely. Really, I'm more confident than ever that if and when I do buy a Nintendo Switch Lite, I'm not going to feel compromised on the ergonomics. So let's compare it to the next nearest match in sort of size and layout and things like that, and that is, of course, the PlayStation Vita. And as you can see, a little more room between the D buttons, the face buttons, and the what am I saying? I keep trying to say D-pad. That's over on the other side. Never mind. The face buttons and the thumbstick. And of course, we've got those reversed there. So these are actually even more cramped, and these are sort of smaller and tiny. I never like the thumbsticks on the Vita. It's one of the worst things about this thing, as far as I'm concerned. I just hated them. I mean, they worked fine, but I just didn't like them. But yeah, so as far as size comparison goes, it's a little bit bigger, but not hugely bigger. There's about the same difference between this and this as there is from this and this, I suppose. And of course, you got the PSP, which a lot of people liked a bit better. This didn't have the thumbstick. This had one of those little slidey circle things that Nintendo later tried on with their own Circle Pad Pro, which I also have over here, by the way. Look at that. This is much. I really did like this. It's a completely cumbersome and awful thing, but I did like the Circle Pad. So yeah, that's comparison size for you there. This obviously is going to be much more pocketable. Then we come to Nintendo's own devices, and you can see I've got a collection here. I don't have the original Game Boy, nor do I have the GBA, GBASP, or any GBA family at all, come to think of it, which is a shame. I need to get on eBay and get those, but I've got the Game Boy Pocket here. I've also got the Game Boy Pocket camera. I've been meaning to do a video on this thing for ages. Just ages. I'll get around to it one day. But that's a super fun little quirky device. If anyone's got a Game Boy printer out there that still works, we should talk. So let's start with, I don't know, this one. The Nintendo DS. No, wait, we'll do the DS. DSi. Where's the DS? There's the Dsi Xl. That's it. Do I not have an original DS here? I guess not. Didn't even notice that when I was setting all this out. I just pulled all this out of a thing. Alright, so that's Dsi Xl. And as you can see, a little bit bigger. Much thicker. And of course, when you open these up, significant difference in size there. DS Lite right there, which I never really loved the DS Lite so much. I loved the design of it, and I love what it did as opposed to the original DS with the way the clamshell worked, but I don't know, it never felt super comfortable. But there you go. And of course, you've got the DSi over here, which I enjoyed because the camera they never really used for anything useful. Just a few, what was it, WarioWare games and stuff like that. But there you go. Never liked how this felt either. The coating on it was just I don't know, a little bit slippery or something. I mean, it looks fantastic, it feels good, but just practical? I don't know, man. Now, of course, we come over to the 3DS, the next nearest neighbor to the Switch these days, and that's the regular sort of Nintendo 3DS there. And this is the one that actually fits into the Circle Pad Pro, so let's do that and get us on even terms with two thumb pads basically there. So, yeah, this is just a monstrosity of a thing. Yep, let's get rid of that. But now, my favorite of the 3DSs, the 3DS XL, I've actually got 3 different 3DS XLs. One was specially modified for a capture device, one is a Pokemon Special Edition, and then there's this one, which was my sort of everyday 3DS, which I really quite like. It's got that sort of, I don't know how good that shows up on camera, but that sort of really fine, not quite carbon fiber texture to it, but close. But there you go. So that's the spacing. As you can see, the spacing on the D-pad and the thumbpad, I did it again, thumbstick and circle pad is basically identical. So to give you a good idea there, and on the buttons on the other side, we don't have a thumbstick to compare it to, but the spacing on the buttons, a little bit bigger buttons here, a little bit more further spaced apart, I think, but not by much. So if you found this quite ergonomical to use, as far as the positioning of that stuff goes, then you're going to like this as well. No, we did that one already. So yeah, that's, you know what, let's bring the Wii U back. Yeah, not really any useful comparison there, I suppose. So, that is the Nintendo Switch Lite Edition, sort of size comparison. Now, let's find out how well it fits in my bum. Well, not in my bum, but in a pocket that's on my bum. That would be a very different video and would be instantly demonetized, and it would require a trip to hospital, I would imagine. I said no judgment. Stop staring at my bum. Stare at the pocket instead. Game Boy. Easy peasy. No worries. PSP. There you go. Oh, I've accidentally turned on the Game Boy. Did you hear that? Did you hear the little ding? PSP. No worries. PS Vita. Easy. Right, DS XL. No worries. We'll skip the little ones. How about the 3DS XL? No problems. Launch Nintendo Switch. I mean, that's pocket size technically. Switch Lite. Yeah. I mean, as long as you don't sit down, I'd feel pretty comfortable with that. Front pocket test. Game Boy. No problems. Skip right up to the Vita this time. Easy peasy. Right through to the Switch. Yeah, I mean, these are pretty big pockets, but they're still pocketable. Switch Lite. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot bigger than a mobile phone, obviously, but I'd feel completely comfortable just wandering around. Pack's show floor or something like that. Whip it out. Diddly-dip. Diddly-dip. Yeah. Pocketable. Pocketable. Legitimately, authentically, pocketable. Not entirely convinced that was the classiest way to end this video, but it is how I'm ending the video. So please, thumbs and subscribe and share and all that kind of stuff, if only for the bum spank. Hashtag Blunty bum spank. Let's not start that, actually. I don't want that to become a thing on my channel. It's a one-off. Special edition bum spank. It's not what I'm into. Well, not my bum, anyway. I liked it a bit.